welcome everyone to May 7th, 2025. This is actually a historic moment. We have a great guest speaker, and he is not a stranger to this platform. Actually, he is one of the originators when we started 3 years ago to come and grace us with some information and sharing his understanding of stopping the violence in America, stopping the violence in the world. And he has created himself a wonderful platform. But just an introduction, my name is Reverend Zachary Oliver. I'm the Vice President UPF, which is the sponsor of this Stopping the Violence in America platform that we've been doing with the great brothers and sisters that I see here have been great supporters for those 3 years, and all the audiences out there who have been coming on as well on our Zoom link or our live link. But we originally started this program because the founder and progenitor of this motivator, if I will, of this program was through what we affectionately call Mother Moon, but Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon, who felt that America, we needed to deal with the gun violence in America. And so we started off with dealing with the gun violence and having speakers addressing that particular issue. But also, we discussed guns, but there is another word, action word on there, and it's called violence. And we realized, as I always say, a gun is an inanimate object, but it takes someone to pick up that particular object, harm, maim, or kill someone. So what we have discovered, there are various root causes to violence. It triggers people into violent behavior. And so that has become a wonderful journey, as all of us know, of learning, coming into some deeper insights, realizing a lot of people are silos on their own, doing extraordinary things. It needs to come together on a central platform. And we feel like we've become that central platform where we can bring people together that are creating and that have what I call sustainable and measurable difference in their different communities. So with no further ado, that's our introduction of who we are and where we continuously going. But as I have said, we have a great speaker coming on to address us today, and that's Dr. Luonne Rouse. And Dr. Rouse is no stranger to this wonderful platform that we have. And we would just like to just share. Dr. Rouse, I'm not going to introduce you and give your bio. I want you to update us, if you will, on your past and your present bio and what you're doing, and then share with us how God has been using you in the area of violence on a whole nother level. But it's so great to see you. It's just been a long time, and it's been too long. And that painting behind you is extraordinary as well. It doesn't do justice to this one here, but it does justice to that one. But we're grateful to have you on this platform and tell us what has inspired you, what you're doing, and just to share with us how God has been using you to be a platform also in stopping the violence and addressing that particular issue. God bless you and welcome to the platform. Again.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend Oliver. It's always good to hear you, to see you, and I am so thrilled about the things that I hear of you that you don't know that I'm hearing from others when I talk about Africa, about UPF, and all that is going on, and your name come up, and you are well respected here in America and around the world. I'd like to take a moment to thank Dr. Madeline Alexander as well for inviting me to be here with you in these moments on behalf of Reverend Oliver. When she contacted me, she too, Reverend Oliver, mentioned that you had shared with her about the events of Orangeburg, and she specifically wanted me to look into that as an update, and I will do some of that. And Dr. Madeline Alexander and Reverend Oliver, I tell you, as things go in this last moment, I decided that there are some things that I want to just share with you from the depths of my heart, my mind, with you. This journey that we are on is one where Marie and I find ourselves now with our grandchildren. And I wanted to say that to you because we just moved in. We haven't even been here a week. But we moved in, and when Marie mentioned to me that we needed to come, she reminded me of why I retired from United Methodist Church in 2018. It was to do as she asked at that time, to teach the grandchildren what I had been teaching others. And one of the inspirations for that from your movement, the things that I had read when two friends of mine asked me to begin to teach a course at UTS. And that was the late Dr. Lonnie McLeod and my good friend and attorney, Leander Hardwick, who had both been engaged with the unification community. Dr. McLeod, after I started working with you a year afterwards, at the seminary, that is, he passed. And so a lot of my presence still remains from that spirit of friendship and kinship from the two of them sitting in my Harlem office and explaining to me what significant movement it was and what a significant understanding that they were gaining of the importance of our involvement with true parents. And then I read on my own, and through reading that and hearing Father Moon before his ascension, I did read in there somewhere that one of the greatest things that can happen on this earth is when grandparents are involved in their grandchildren's lives. And that love that is exchanged there is not only meaningful to the hearts of the grandchildren, preferably, but I am finding it is true what it does for grandparents. So we are here now in Aiken, South Carolina, Marie's birthplace. Those of you who know, when I stopped working with ACLC directly, indirectly, I'm still there, of course, we will always be, but directly, we went to my birthplace, and we've been in my birthplace for those years, but now we're in Marie's birthplace for her grandchildren. Our younger grandchildren of ours are right here in Aiken. The three older grandchildren were in my birthplace. Isn't that interesting? I even performed the wedding of our oldest grandchild at my first birth church, the church that I was raised in when I was first born. Today, however, this focus is not about me. It is about God and us. And what I want to say before I go into the depths of the nonviolence is that which really makes nonviolence an important significance, hopefully, in all of our lives. And that is the work of Heavenly Parent, our Creator, who has indeed given us a way back to the original intention of all of creation. How one could take chaotic matters in all of the universe and bring together with the sole intent of creating a sphere of existence where there could be joy and happiness in the image of that character that we call Heavenly Parent God. From within, God created that which we consider to be without, but in actuality, we know, especially those of us who have come to believe, that we are never without the presence of our Heavenly Parent. So we are without and within at the same time, and only one so great as Heavenly Parent can make that happen. Because of that, then we had the opportunity right from the beginning of time to be in a nonviolent existence. We've all heard the story that is demonstrated in Adam and Eve. But let us put it in the mindset, just male and female humanity in itself, falling from that grace of dignity of peace into chaos that was not intended to be a part of our existence. Even more so, let's go into the fact that birth from that existence of first man and woman, as the story goes, two sons rise up against each other, wherein the blood of one son would cry from the ground to Heavenly Parent of the violent nature of murder. That they would go against each other and one would murder the other, and the cry of the blood hit God, making not only water and spirit significant for our existence, but blood. But blood. Violence is such a devastating thing to the mere existence and the cause of our existence that we ought to take this matter seriously within our hands today and see if we can bring an end to it and have the brothers and the sisters to live in what is called Eden, or that paradise state within our mindset, or the garden where peace was meant to be for us all the time. And it can happen. And part of the reason why we know it can happen is that the one who God brought through the lineage of Seth and those who existed in Mary's life, as Luke, the third chapter, verse 23 through 38. Some of you have your Bibles, you can go there now, and you will see that in the beginning, when Luke expresses his most excellent way of telling the story of how we should be in peace, he gives that Joseph was the son of Heli, who was actually Joseph's father-in-law. It was Mary's bloodline, and through Mary's bloodline comes Jesus' human bloodline. And I know we like to think of Jesus most times as being this spiritual figure to usher in salvation, but today, and for this purpose of moving towards nonviolence, let's take the seriousness of his existing as human, in that human bloodline that traces back to Adam and Eve, God, and ultimately the creation for the importance of being born of water and spirit with blood. Blood is significance that we hold within our mindset that we're talking about human disruption of the peaceful creation of God by destruction to one's blood. That's what violence. Violence is not thinking of the water or the spirit of it. If it did, it probably would not go to violence. But violence thinks about in its very nature of getting us, hurting us to the extent where it disrupts our bloodline. Let's put a stop to it. Observing April the 4th as a day of nonviolence throughout the United States is the integral matter of honoring the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That's what I have been about since leaving the chairmanship of the American Clergy Leadership Conference. King was assassinated on that date in 1968. The philosophy of nonviolence that he encapsulated into our existence is what we call the Kingian Six Principles of Nonviolence, which emphasize the importance of peaceful conflict resolution, the power of love over hate, and the pursuit of justice through nonviolent means. By requesting the mayors and governors throughout America to issue proclamations annually, we have an opportunity to institutionalize these principles, encouraging community-based organizations, governing agencies, law enforcement, to collaborate together with faith-based groups to foster peace-driven communities. The observance serves to uphold the Constitution, particularly under the 13th and 14th Amendments when it comes to a sector of our community that we see oftentimes as being overwhelmingly impacted by the nature of this violence. Part of that probably is because of the historical nature that brought about the importance of the Amendment 13th and 14th Amendments, where we can value human lives regardless of where they've come from in our existence on earth, any continent, but that which became an atrocity to American history, which is American slavery, that it would bring about the importance of noting that everybody, all of us, have a place in America. When we look at those amendments real close too, or when we look at the Constitution real close, we must note that the Constitution did not only look at the ethnicity of those who were from Africa, of those who were bred into slavery in America. We cannot overlook the fact that within that stated that the Indians were not in a true aspect included unless they were paying taxes, but they were almost totally excluded, even more so than those of us of African American heritage. But that's not even the point. The ethnicity is really not the point. I want us to grab hold of that because what we should advocate is nonviolence regardless of race, creed, or color. Our blood, getting back to that again, when we bleed that blood, it's going to look the same. We are human beings. Each one of our bloodlines, when disrupted and it hits that ground, cries out to a creator who loves us all. I'm going to take just a few more minutes before we engage in conversation, and you can ask some questions around this important day of April the 4th and the observance of nonviolence. And all of those who have been speaking with you in bringing about elements of what they're doing currently to help the situation. And then I'll also share with you a little bit of what we asked for in Orangeburg with the group of people that I've already talked to you about. And you'll be able to ask questions about that. But what I want to bring to our point at this time in bringing the Constitution into this and keeping it in our mindsets as we work on the matter of moving from violence to nonviolence and existing in a community and ultimately in a world. And I think that you will appreciate where I want us to go with this in a few moments from now. But our advocacy of civil rights and equal protection under the law, emphasizing a harmonious society free from violence and discrimination, is right on. I want to encourage you to keep doing what you do as often as you are doing it, to bring forth those who can be of sincerity of heart and mind in their intentionality in this time of the 21st century to live out our human responsibility as much as it was for our Heavenly Parent in creating us in the beginning. I want to go back to that just for a moment to emphasize where I'm coming in terms of the theological language. Our oldest daughters continuously remind me, Dad, you don't have to use church language all the time. Now you're retired. And I tell them, if church language was just my work language, that would be one thing. But what you call church language is my life language. It is only that I'm in existence because of the one who brings all people into the existence and called me to speak as I speak about the very nature of a right relationship with the Theo that leads to the relationship with each one of us. And that relationship must have intentionality. And that's why I'm bringing that up continuously with you. It's a theology of intentionality. Goes back to intention being will of God. We are to live into the will of God. When the will of God becomes our will, then the language that we speak and attribute it to being God language or church language, that goes out of the door. It becomes the will to speak the love language that is true, life transforming, and will bring truth to living out the way that God desires us to live. And when we go through what we go through, we'll find out it's the way we want to live too. And I believe that this nonviolent existence will be the way that even those who we think to be in the worst category of ushering in violence, they want to live that way too. One final thing before I get to my last statement that I want to make to you today. In my experience with ACLC, I had an opportunity to go many times to Louisville, Kentucky, and work with gang members there. The message that came out from them there, I began to talk with gang members in New York, in Los Angeles, and talk with some of the brothers who are in fraternity with me now. But times when we had our separate ways, those of us who were going different kind of, before we learned to be real brothers in fraternity, we often found ourselves opposite ends of the scale. And what each one of us want now is the same thing. Not to be on opposite ends of the scale, thinking about how we can hurt possibly the other. Where we want to be is the life where we know that everybody will love our children. Now, isn't that some language that you are familiar with true parents that speak of true love for your elders and true love for your children? Such initiatives resonate with the salvific mission led by Holy Mother Han in the unification faith, within which there is the Family Federation for Unification and World Peace, within which is UPF. This faith emphasizes peace, reconciliation, and building a united world family, echoing the principles of nonviolence advocated by Dr. King. The observance of April the 4th connects, therefore, both ideologies, promoting a vision of global unity and understanding with cooperation, wherein we work together to have peace through nonviolent means everywhere, aligning with the broader mission of creating a world where conflicts are resolved through principles and understanding of cooperation. This then would reflect the foundation of values of harmony and peaceful coexistence by instilling within everyone, every individual, rights and dignities that are respected and upheld. Towards an enduring peace are we heading, fostering environments where all of our families can coexist together. The question then becomes whether I am with ACLC or currently as I am working with the African Diaspora Leadership Conference, can this Commission on Nonviolence find a way into the hearts and minds and inspiration of those who are working with the couple, the blessed couple, who are blessing people throughout the world, led by the woman in charge, who's asking that the blessing not cease until all of the 8+ billion people in the world are blessed. Can we find a cooperative point of working together to make this a better place? We have the opportunity, I believe, either to lead in a direction that continues to go to war, or to find a way from the sincerity of our hearts to lead to a beautiful world. What's our pleasure? Thank you for allowing me to share these thoughts with you today.
Thank you, Dr. Rouse. That was absolutely beautiful. It was a lot of angles and insights that you brought to the table, and a lot to think about. One of the things that struck me when your daughter said the church language, the first thing came to my mind that you had explained to her what it's your life. But first thing I thought about, because in this world today, and I think you were dealing with this world is dealing with a confusion of norms. What becomes norm, right? When I was in college, I don't know, I was a young guy, 19 or something, and I read this in my Psych 101, Dr. Rouse. And I don't know why one sentence just stuck with me. I'm not going to tell you my age, but it stuck with me this many years. And it was a very simple explanation in Psych 101 in his book. And it said, what is the definition of norm?
Oh, yeah.
And it just said, very simply, the definition of norms is what's prevailing.
Yes.
Even as a young man, it didn't sound right. You know, is the blood of Cain and Abel on the ground the norm? Because we see that it is prevailing in humanity right now? I don't think so.
Hmm.
I think what you were trying to say is what I wanted to conclude with, and what your daughter has said. The church language will finally have become the norm. Once it becomes the norm, it was not church language. It will be defined, as you had just said, harmonious relationships, unstressed relationships, relationships that come natural of what I love that word altruism, the natural inclination that when your brother falls, you just don't think about it, you grab his hand.
Yes.
This should be the norm. I don't care what color you are, what race you are, what all those things came out of that nasty blood that was shed. The sorrowful blood was shed
Yes.
from the
Yes.
beginning. So I really want to open it up, but I thought about what you just said again. Church language, yeah, it would finally become the norm.
Amen.
Because it would be finally, as God always wanted it to be, prevailing. So thank you so much for what you just shared with us. It's very profound. I just want to open up the floor. I want to thank also Dr. Madeline, for, reaching out to you and bringing you on. We needed to hear this, what you just shared with us. So I just want to open up the floor for anyone to have any statements, have any questions to make towards this wonderful sharing that Dr. Rouse has just graced us with.
Amen. And to God be the glory. Thank you so much, Dr. Rouse, for accepting the invitation. And my brother Oliver, you're always a blessing as you keep the momentum going. Dr. Rouse, you said something powerful. Your daughter talking about the church language. And I remember my son, a friend of my son's asked him if his mother was a Christian. And he said, my mother is a believer. Christianity is her lifestyle. You know what I mean? So what we project up on our children, they might not respond to it at that time, but they see it. And as they grow and mature, they do study that pattern and they do come full circle within that. But you talked about the Nonviolence Day. That process, is that something that you collaborate with the mayor or the governor in your city? How does that work?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. I intentionally did not go through everything about that aspect because I was hoping someone would ask that question. And I have sent you would have it in your records, and Dr. Oliver has it as well, a PowerPoint that will speak to that, and you would have it. But the process is, and let me revert a little bit. The persons who helped to develop this process are actually members of UPF in the unification movement. I think the first one to give the idea for it was Susan Pfefferman in our conversations when we were talking, and saying that that's something that we might be able to do when you make it practical to talk to, reach out, and get a proclamation going. And so she came up with the idea of how we can work to get the proclamation all across the nation, because the unification movement has done such efforts in the past. And then the champions for it have been Ambassador for Peace, Catherine Duncan out of Las Vegas, and Pastor Juanita Pierre Louis out of New York, and others have joined in to work with them. The way that the process goes, coming from from our conversation again within the UPF group is that we would build the relationship in the communities and work with those who have alignment with the mayors, with the governors, so that it's not heavy lifting. It's not something you have to go in and campaign for. Out of your relationship, it's just a matter of bringing to their awareness what transpired and what is transpiring. What transpired, we discovered in 1968, right before the murder of Martin Luther King Jr., was on the campus of my South Carolina state where I graduated from. In that February, there were a group of students, 3 of them were murdered. Smith, Hamilton, and Militant were murdered there on South Carolina State's campus because of the racial injustice that was taking place, that they were crying out as students, we want to bowl too. But the bowling alley at that time would not allow them the right to bowl. And they were protesting. And out of that protesting, the violence broke out. And America was taking a look at that until the violence broke out on King. And King's blood cried out more to the human people of America. But that blood shed on those grounds of Orangeburg, South Carolina, are still crying out to God today. That's why this year we went back to Orangeburg, and we have found that through a relationship with mayors in Orangeburg, North Las Vegas, Atlanta, in Louisville, Kentucky, and Boulder, I believe it is, of Nevada, and some other cities that don't readily come to my mind right now. But we want to reach all of them. And we've had the states like Georgia and Kentucky and Nevada and others to take this seriously too, and they've made proclamations. So what we're asking UPF to consider is, can you adopt this also? And I do want it to move, not where it's not just like a baby from the Commission on Nonviolence, but it's God creation of human life that we're talking about. That all of us should be working together to get it and use our contacts, our relationships. I don't like using the word influence, but it come down, if we want to say, our influence to bring people to look at how the establishment of holy communities with Holy Mother Hunt and the beloved community with Martin Luther King Jr. leads to the principles of true love, true family, siblings love, parental love, familial love that goes out to love neighbors, that can lead to the adoption of these principles. Nonviolence is a way of life for courageous people. 2, nonviolence seeks to win friendship and understanding. 3, nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice, not people. That's a very important one. Number 4, nonviolence holds suffering, can educate and transform. Number 5, nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. Another one very important to us. Nonviolence believes that the universe is on the side of justice. Those 6 principles, I believe, fall right in line with the one, as Reverend Oliver pointed out together. He and I was together in San Francisco when this inspiration came to both of us. We even talked about it then, what we were going to do. and how we would go about doing it. And thank God we're here together today. And both of us, Reverend Oliver, now that I think about it, we're doing what we talked about at that time. Both of us are. We're inspired by Holy Mother Hunt to bring forth what's necessary for people to take, stopping the violence, moving to nonviolence. And what I say, bringing Holy Mother Hunt, Martin Luther King Jr., their ideologies, theology, however one wants to state it, in a position where together we can build holy communities in the beloved community. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. James Parker, welcome to the platform. Dr. Rouse, James Parker was one of our guest speakers, and he has been an adamant supporter ever since. James Parker.
Dr. Rouse know me, and I know him.
That's my brother of the practical realities right there. He is doing what when I first met him and was introduced to him, I believe Madeline Alexander introduced us. And what he's doing in Delaware, is what he knows this, and I don't hide it from anybody. I told him immediately what I learned from him there. If this could be done everywhere in America, everything that the American Clergy Leadership Conference would stand for would come into a reality, and all people of faith would come to appreciate true love. Yes, Brother Parker.
I love what you said. But I think we got to go above church language and go to kingdom language. Because that's what Jesus came to speak on. Kingdom possibilities. We all can live in a great house. We all can eat great food. We all can wear the finest clothes. We all can, and the kingdom supplies that. And I think when you put people on, make them feel once again respected and love, especially love. Love is really the key of all things. And yes, we do got to come together. And I believe we're all going to come together. I see it here's where I see it at, Dr. Rouse. I see it in line dancing, that everybody can come together. I see cowboys and cowgirls, and they're line dancing. You see the ghetto people, they're line dancing. It seems like right now, when I go on all the platforms, everybody's line dancing, and they're doing it everywhere. And what it showed me is that they can listen to one voice and move on one accord. Slide to the left, slide to the right, crisscross. And they all listening to one voice, and they're doing it in unison. And the Lord was showing me, see, we can do this. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And I believe when we get on that one language, when we get on that one accord, they have already been following one another to where this will happen, and they won't even know it because right now they are used to listening to a voice, and we haven't been on one accord as Christians, as Baptists, as somehow we ain't been on one accord. We ain't been saying the same thing. Everybody should be speaking. The one word that we need to all be on one accord. We can all be different, but on one accord is love. If we can get on that, just love. Hey, you're Muslim, but love. Hey, you're Buddhist, but love. Hey, you're this, but love. Whatever you listen to, what does it tell you about love? And if everybody can search their own, whatever they're doing, and search and find in their book the word love and what it's saying, what love is, then I believe, hey, we can all get on that one language. Now, God can work everything else out. That's God working everything else out. But I believe that one component of love, we don't see each other black and white. We don't see ourselves women and men. We don't see ourselves we see ourselves as love. So, yes, yeah, great words, sir. Love seeing you. I haven't seen you in a while.
Man, it's good to see you and good to hear you. You know, you bring forth a note that I will not forget. I'm gonna write it down when we're done because I've got to incorporate it in. On yesterday, 20 hours ago, an 80-year-old neighbor of mine saw me walking with my dog in the park across from where we live. And she came over and she waved to see if it was okay for her to come over to speak to our dog. When she came over to speak to Bella, she said to me, "I just came from line dancing." and I was line dancing and we were doing things together and I had so much fun. It was so enjoyable. She didn't talk about our being of different race, different cultures. None of that mattered. What she wanted to connect with is that line dancing brought people together for fun and joy. And ultimately, like you're saying, we learn to love our neighbors when we align together. The language that you just spoke is the language of Holy Mother Han. She's saying the same thing to you. What just took place earlier in April was just that, the acknowledgement there in Trompion of the kingdom, the kingdom where the dwelling of God is, the kingdom where everyone can come and align with the love of God. One other thing I'm going to say about this kingdom that you brought up and the line dancing is interesting. I tell my wife every now and then because she was listening to it and I was listening to it. And we both found out we were listening to it for the same reason. Our homeboy, I call him, because he's from South Carolina, is King George. And King George is one of the popular renditions of that line dance music right now. Some of his songs have things in it that I wouldn't promote anywhere. But when it comes to what you're saying, in his name, King, in his building of relationships and bringing people together, it's an interesting thing what it does. The other thing that you bring to my mind, and this is where I'm going to write what you said into. I've been telling people lately to follow the lineage of Jesus. When we talk about following Jesus, we often think about just following that human aspect of him being on earth or the spiritual aspect of connection with God and where people go with that. But I said, take serious, why would his lineage be placed in the Bible in two places in the New Testament? First chapter of Matthew, I call that lineage of adoption, where it's really his adopted father and Joseph that's there, letting us know in theological ways, we can all get into that another way, how all can be adopted into this back to God relationship as family, again with love. But in that line, there's King Solomon as the son of David and Bathsheba. But in the bloodline with Mary, there's Nathaniel. And Nathaniel was that last son born to David with Bathsheba. And with that last son came the music that caused his father to dance out of his clothes in praising God. It was Nathan that had that music inclination and brought all of that about. You brought up something that I think is important today that True Mother continuously brings out too. Music. Music is heavenly. Music is uniting. Music is a universal language. When we talk about kingdom language, it's the universal language speaking of the kingdom of God. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As we come to our close, I'm going to give you the last word, but one of the things that uh, your 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 theologian, um, um, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, the word accompany me, but your theology, you're not a theology, but you as a theologian comes out very beautifully. Also, you your spirit takes me back to in the 60s when uh, men of men at that time, God was working through certain men uh, to be the forerunners, if you will, or the vicars, if you will, of a certain standard. As Dr. Madeline said, her lifestyle was a Christian lifestyle.
Mm.
Your lifestyle. So we saw that lifestyle in people like Martin Luther King and all those other men. It was just Christianity was in their lifestyle, in the way they spoke, in the way they acted, in their mission and what they wanted to do for the sake of humanity. And I believe that those guys were not fighting, Martin, as you had indicated, the beloved community in in uh, in consort with the Holy Mother Han and her beloved husband, who fought for the same thing and bringing the fruition of what the beloved community really should be looking like, you know, and what God already saw. So really want to thank you. I wanted to give you the last word, but I thought about the Holy Mother Han and her beloved husband. So I just wanted to share a few sentences and ask you to close out on these few sentences, because these few sentences really, to me, encapsulate or is alluding to a lot of things that you had shared from the beginning. And that is coming from the, what they call the New Hope speech from the beloved husband of Holy Mother Han, Dr. Sun Myung Moon, who we affectionately call True Father as well. He said, in the course of restoration, there must be the standard, a rule. If you're going to find one in the Bible, which must it be? Secondly, then what must be the mission of truth? The mission of truth is to guide the people through their way. Just wanted to close with that for my remarks and ask you, Dr. Rouse, because if you really think about it, he's saying in the mission, the course of restoration, that's what you were talking. We have to restore the blood. We have to, who restored that blood that is still crying in South Carolina? What does it take to restore that blood, to bring true healing? There must be a standard rule. What is that standard rule? If you are going to find one in the Bible, which one should it be? Thank you so much, Dr. Rouse.
Thank you.
You're the last word.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you and ask you to continue to walk this path with Reverend Oliver, Dr. Alexander, all who've come, Dr. Parker, all who have joined today. And just a reminder that every religious leader that I have taken seriously has in their thought pattern and in their messages that evil is of such nature that it could cause one to drift away from the true intention of God. Do not allow it to take you away. Always find your way to be a steadfast way in the pathway that leads to true love, acceptance, and understanding. Not of that which is like you or of you alone, but of all of that which comes to a great mosaic when it's brought together to be about all that God is, our creator is, our heavenly parent is, the source that brings all of us to be one family. Please continue to walk this path, and we are walking it together. If I don't see you where you are, it's because I'm with a crowded others and blocking our vision of one another. But be assured, brothers and sisters, I am with you always. God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those last beautiful words. And actually behind you, that painting looks like a mosaic, doesn't it? Or Van Gogh.
That's a Picasso of
Picasso,
Jesus.
that's what
Interesting.
I was trying to think Van Gogh, but the word Picasso, and I even was on my phone, what is the real name of that guy? You know, thank you for bringing his name up. Picasso. Yes, that's what it looks like. And thank you so much. And thank you, everybody else. Thank you, Dr. Madeline, for reaching out. Did you want to say something?
Just my pleasure, and to thank Dr. Rouse so much for his wisdom. He'll always have a place in my heart. You'll always have a place in my heart. And it's just, as we go from week to week to week, we just glean so much from so many people. But at the end of the day, it all balances out in love. It all reverts back to love, So again, thanks everybody for being present today. I know at another time we'll have to have this discussion, because we got Franklin in the background who didn't get a chance to say anything. You got Healy on, you know what I mean? So maybe one day next month we can replay it and just have conversation about it, because it was very profound and thought-provoking. So I know there's much conversation behind it. So
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm finished. Thank you.
Yeah. So I agree. I think always when I hear things like this, Dr. Rouse, the prerequisite sometimes in the restoration of love, for me, is appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Do we appreciate the different areas or situations that my brothers and sisters have gone through? And then I can move the cobwebs, and then I can really see that yes, I can love that person.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I can really love that person. So thank you so much. Yeah, your words were thought provoking and very powerful. And we look for you to come back, and we will talk again. God bless everyone for coming on again. We love you all. We pray for you. We pray for one another, and we ask your blessings not to be for ourselves' sake, but that we are capable and we can live for the sake of others and do something greater than ourselves. We love you. God bless you. Take care. See you next week.
God bless. God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Rouse.
Thank you
very much.
Okay. God bless.
Okay, God bless. Until we meet
Thank you.
again.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here. So glad. Thank you. Thank you.